What's up? Welcome back for part two of Kendal Kirkland's interview. If you have not watched part one, be sure to go ahead and do that, where we talk about his business, Lifestyle Credit Repair. This second half of the video is for the creatives.
What's up, you guys? Kendall, now I can say officially Kendall from Sensation Island, creator, influencer, really came to LA to make a wave. So I'm excited. Well, living in LA as a creator is difficult. I remember some of the first few auditions I went to. You go and there's 40 to 50 other people that look just like you. Same build, same height, same everything. So it's really competitive. It's definitely a place where you have to get out of your comfort zone and you have to think pretty strategically and think smart. It's not a place that everybody should run to because you can easily get ate up and get caught up in the scene and caught up in things that you don't want to get caught up in. LA is a great place, but it's not all peaches and butterflies.
So living in LA, people always see the glamour side of things, but then also just like if you look in the media and the movies and things like that, they also show you partying, drug use, homelessness, people living in poverty because it's so expensive to live there. Like, have you seen any of that?
There's a lot of madness going on in LA. Like you said, the stuff that you see in the movies and TV is real. Even a lot of people that you see on TV, that you see that's in certain positions, they aren't living the way that they're portraying. What you see on social media is not always real life. It's not realistic. It's very difficult in the real world. And I just don't think there's an accurate portrayal on social media or even sometimes on television. It's really expensive, but it's also a place where you can also make a lot of money too. So it just depends. There's a lot of good and there's a lot of bad as
Okay, so if I were an aspiring actress and I wanted to get booked in LA, what tips do you have?
first doing some work to establish yourself. It could be a student project, it could be something off of Craigslist and start building up your credits. Get some professional headshots taken, not just photos taken by your mommy or daddy, some professional photos that actually is a good representation of you. And another thing that I would say is actually get some training, learn how to speak to the camera, learn how to speak on camera, and your ability to orate and narrate your own life and depict character scenes is going to take you a lot further than just how you look. So you actually want to have talent attached to your look because there's a lot of people that look beautiful in LA and you're not the only baddie. So let's say you live in Wyoming, you want to move to LA, you might be a 10 in Wyoming, but when you come to LA, you might be a 6. So it's a different perspective. You're now a fish in a full pond full of a whole bunch of other fishes that's trying to get the same thing. So I would say establish yourself and get some skills and get some training and do some little projects first to get your feet wet and make sure you're staying encouraged and you get your mindset on point because it can be very discouraging going on auditions. Just like even this week alone, I'm doing an acting class on Saturday, then I'm doing another acting class on Sunday as well. So for 5 hours each day. And I'm just putting in the work and I'm learning how to break down scenes, learning how to get into character, and learning how to get better at the craft. I can't say I want to do certain things if I'm not putting in the work and the time.
All right, so what type of acting roles have you done?
For me, I'm even green. So I started out with modeling at first. So I did a lot of shoots with Adidas, more furniture. I did a campaign with Fox Sports. I did a lot of athletic athleisure brands, and with a lot of the acting roles, I did a lot of smaller roles. Like one of the biggest roles I did was this film called Calajero. It's a Hispanic film that was like on Hulu. I was playing a South African boxer, and they had me go to Mexico for like a week and a half. They paid for everything, stayed in a beach house, trained with a professional fighter for like a month beforehand, and that's how I started building my SAG credits. So to actually get on really big high-end TV shows, you need to be SAG. So in order to be SAG, you need to get your vouchers. You need to get 3 vouchers. So you have to be on actual television projects, commercials, and you have to get 3 of your vouchers before you can even start doing like recurring day roles. So in the past 3 to 4 weeks, I've had I would say about 5 to 6 auditions for some larger scale projects looking to hear back, but it's been a grind. I've been in this for like 2 to 3 years. Like it would be great to have a recurring role on a sitcom or to star in a movie, but realistically, you need to be extremely talented. You need to actually get that audition. So getting in the room is one thing, establishing yourself is another thing.
So, with the acting roles that you've done in the past, have you been compensated for those? And the reason I ask is because I'm really into like the Shade Room and all those blog sites. And there was a trending topic about how one of the actors who played in Friday got paid like $1,400. And people were going back and forth like, is that good or is that bad? Who cares about the $1,400? Friday is one of the biggest movies for the culture. But, there's that starving artist notion and how people are paid with exposure. So I just want to know your experience.
So with my experience, I definitely got paid for all the projects I've done. I even did a Ruffles commercial, and it was a really small commercial, and I was getting checks for probably 6 months recurring. So I would say if you're doing a black-based film versus doing a project funded by Paramount Studios or a larger scale project, I think there's a huge divide in pay scales, but you can also do a project and you can get a lot of exposure, or you can do projects that pay you well that you don't get much exposure. So every single project is dependent on who's producing it, who's writing it, who's behind it, who's starring in it. But anything that's SAG, you legally have to get paid. If you're doing a non-union project, for those of you who don't know, there's non-union work and then union work. For non-union work, you can deal with a lot of those issues of not getting paid. But union work, you're gonna get your money. Even just to be an extra, one of my boys made like $10,000 just being an extra in a movie for 3 weeks. So it just depends on what type of project you're in. But I would say go for SAG work because you're gonna get paid a lot higher. They legally have to. I forgot what SAG actually stands for, but it's the actors gig. So
Oh,
you have union actors and non-union actors. But once you're in the actors union, you can actually apply to be on roles that's on television, like on mainstream television. But without being in the union, then you cannot do those larger scaled roles. So definitely go to the SAG website, look over all the information. Those are process for me to even learn about the little tidbits. But in anything that you do, there's politics around it. So the best thing that you need to know is do what you can to become union. And another secret hack that you can do is book a national commercial, and they can buy you into the union just from doing one project. So a great website that you can use is LA Casting. They cast for projects all across the United States. You can also be on Actors Access. They have a lot of professional projects too that you can book and really utilize. And then if you don't want to use those, you can always try to get with an agent. But most of the time, great agents aren't going to work with you unless they see you've done something and you try to work for yourself in some form or fashion.
how do you stand out to be casted for a reality show?
Yeah, so the reality show was wow. I mean, I submitted for myself, and that's how I got on. So I found that myself. So I went through LA Casting and seen it. I was like, oh, this might be something I want to really look into. So you go through a series of meetings with producers. They do an hour-long interview with you. They really want to see your personality, how you think, how you dress, what you would do in a situation. You have to answer a bunch of different questions and really know who you are. So with reality TV, it's a lot different than booking a role on a television show because, all right, so when you're booking a television role, say they're casting for the role of Derek, they want to be able to see you as that role as Derek. So how you read for that character or how you portray that character has to be something that they've envisioned or that they really see fit. So with reality shows, it's a lot different because you get to bring you to the camera. You get to be like on reality TV, I'm Kendall. I'm not playing a role. You're yourself. So you have to come in as authentic as possible and do everything that you can to really sell yourself. Like they want people who's fun, that's exciting. They don't want to have somebody on TV that's boring. Like nobody's gonna sit and watch somebody that's sitting there that's boring, that can't communicate, that can't respond to things, that can't think on the fly. Because in reality, it's really a social experiment. All these reality shows, it's a social experiment. Look to see how people who are stuck in situations psychologically, mentally, and spiritually and physiologically last in these situations and what they do and how they act. Because everybody's goal is to get to you mentally, emotionally, and you're always under attack. There's days where people are breaking down crying. When I was on Temptation Island in the room, because remember, you have no phone, no TV. You're in rooms by yourself for hours. You have to get ready all the time. You can be up partying, turning up to 4 or 5 a.m. Then the next day you woke up at 7 a.m., 8 a.m., and you have to be on call. You have to shoot. So anytime you're talking, you have to always have a mic on. Everything that you do is caught on camera. There's no privacy, and it's an uncomfortable space to be in. So you have to get used to having no privacy. You have to be used to people listening to everything that you say, think, breathe, and you have to relive it over and over and over and over again. So imagine going through a traumatic situation of like, so just say you see something with your girl kissing another guy, and then they ask you as soon as you get back to the house, hey, how did you feel when you seen this? Well, how do you feel about this? It's a lot of really diving deep into how you are feeling, where you're at that certain moment, and reliving that same thing. So when you see reality shows, you see things happening, you see people in the green screen room, they're sitting there talking to the professional. Like that's really how they're feeling. So you can go in there at the time, or you can be in there with a producer, and they just really want to see how you're feeling and see your emotions behind it. My bad if I went too long, but yeah.
No, this is perfect. So it sounds like you have to be very emotionally stable and sure of yourself and authentic and confident to even be on a reality show. But what else?
I would say just being fun and being a person who's willing to step out of your comfort zone and try new things. They don't want people who are stuck in their ways. They want to always throw something at you every single day, and they want people who can roll with the punches. There's so many times where we thought we were going to do certain things, and the producers completely changed everything. So you need to not be stuck in your ways, and you have to be able to work with the producers. You have to be able to work with the team, and you also, like you said, you have to be mentally stable. They don't want people there that want to commit suicide or want to hurt themselves or want to hurt other people or get upset or act out of the emotions. You want to be able to control your emotions and be able to just move on the fly, have fun, live your life, and bring some entertainment.
So I heard the majority of reality shows are filmed in like a 30-day window. And then after that, they edit it and push the content out. Was that your experience?
We were out there for like 60 days, but we had to quarantine for 2 weeks prior because this was at the brink of COVID. So we were in the hotel just chilling for like 2 weeks. And then once we start shooting, we were shooting for about 40 days, but every single day, something like all day, every day, you have an agenda. Every single day, it feels like long days. Like that 1 month feels like 3 months because you're so close to the cast members, you're so close to everyone that's there because you don't have any connection with the outside world. So imagine being stuck with the same people for 40 days and all you can talk to is those people, all you can think about are those people, all you can really share anything with are the people that you're with. So the time spent seems short, but when you're there, it seems a lot longer.
Okay, so I watched some of your content from Temptation Island. And I
Yeah,
also read the comments that other people posted, like on the videos and the snippets and things like that.
yeah,
And people were mean. People were rude. People were going in. You had some fans, Kendall. But then also, I saw
yeah,
people in the comments saying that you are toxic, that you are a
yeah.
narcissist, and just all kinds of stuff. How do you
Mhm.
handle negative criticism?
I'm trying to give the most humble response possible, but for me, a person's words who barely know themselves doesn't really affect me. So one thing I've learned the more I've grown up is people respond out of emotion, they think out of emotion, and the general public lacks critical thinking. So with me and my situation in particular, the whole goal of the show was to get there and to date other people. I know I went extreme and all that type of stuff, but the whole goal is I've made myself susceptible to those things by even deciding to go there. So the lack of thinking and ability to see that that's even a foreseeable thing really misses me because the normal public they just see things on TV and they react, they respond. One of the funniest things the girls would message me and they still message me something like, "Oh, you're a terrible person, you're a narcissist. I hope you're never happy." And they're still doing this, and this is a year and a half later. So if you're still looking at something from 2 years ago and you're still yelling at somebody, I feel like that's a mental disorder in itself. So people will always be mean. People will always say negative things. But for me, the way I cope with it is I know who I am. So I know who I was designed to be. And I have a very good grasp on that. So I've never lost sight of that, even while I was there. And I never broke down at the reunion, on the show, any of that. And like, even with the last scene, like everybody that was on the couch was coming at me for about 3 hours. It was to the point where after I was done, producers were coming up to me like, "Are you okay?" and different things. But it's like, you have to take ownership. So I took ownership of everything that happened. And I think that's what a man should do. I don't think men should make excuses with certain things. I think that you should use every opportunity as a learning experience because somebody can grow from your experience or they can see some type of value from it. And I think that's why I was put in that situation. And I definitely got a lot of value from
I like how you handled yourself at the reunion. You were very unapologetic. You were like, it is what it is. The host was like, but that's a cop out. And you were like, well, what are some of the unintended consequences of being on a reality show?
it. People thinking that they know you that really don't know you. People walking up to you in public and saying negative things. People messaging you, obviously disrespectful things. Well, for me, I didn't really miss out on any opportunities. For me, it was mainly the haters. So I can only speak from my experience. I was the villain. I was painted as the villain. That's what they wanted it to be. They could have portrayed whatever they wanted to. So, and even sometimes with the business stuff, like people say, "Oh man, I can't trust you. Can't trust his business. Look what he did on the show." I'm like, there is absolutely no correlation to someone's dating life versus to what they do in business sometimes. Although people have character, like I said, people lack the ability to think critically. If somebody put a camera on everything that you did for 30 days, do you think the world would want us to work with you? And my answer is no, probably for most people.
Okay, so I looked at your website and it says that you are a coach. It looks like you're a relationship coach and like a
Yeah,
success coach, right? So
yeah.
from a relationship perspective, What
Yeah.
advice would you give to someone who is in a relationship, but their significant other cheated and now they're like on the fence?
Oh, that's cake. That's easy. So if you're in a relationship and your partner has cheated on you, first and foremost, you need to get the full story. You need to understand what was the reason why. So one thing that I'm big on is I understand why I do certain things and I understand the motive behind it. So I would try to understand the unconscious and the conscious motive behind why they did the action. And then I would bring some type of spiritual implication into the relationship. You guys should pray together. You guys should do things that's going to bond you guys closer and actually come up with a plan, because sometimes people feel like they can recover from a situation, but in reality it takes a lot of work to recover from the situation. So if you both aren't in a place where you want to put in the work that it takes to recover from such a traumatic situation, I would step away from the situation, because there's an issue beforehand. Now you have a bigger issue on top of the issue that was already there. So realizing where you're at, being self-aware with that, and actually coming to terms and not putting perfume on what already stinks in the relationship is a great way to see where you guys are at, because we're in a day and age where people do not like being honest with one another, and people will easily sweep things under the rug, but there's no healing there. So seeking true healing before you can decide if you want to step in a relationship with this person, because I think people can recover from infidelity and actually grow stronger through it. I think that people can get better from situations like that. And there's some things that cause people to act in such a way, but it's also linked to immaturity. It's also linked to things that they weren't getting. And it can also be linked into not really understanding their own worth. Sometimes men cheat because they don't understand their own worth, and it's a validation from other women that they don't really like anyway. So it depends if it's on the woman's side or the man's side. It's two different situations, because men and women cheat for different reasons, and it's all based off of the reason and what you can do around
You said a lot. Let's talk about reasons people
it.
cheat.
Men cheat also to really feel like a man, and sometimes simply to have fun, and sometimes off of overlooking what they already have. Sometimes the grass seems greener on the other side, but in reality, the grass is not greener. It's just grass that you haven't seen yet. It's grass that probably hasn't been fertilized. It's grass that probably needs more work than the grass that you already have. So understanding what you need in a relationship instead of jumping to other things is also good for a man. So I know in a lot of situations when I see with some of my friends who have cheated in relationships, they've also jumped to other situations because they're missing one component from their relationship. So they go to somebody that might have that one component but doesn't carry the totality of what their actual partner has.
Top reason that women cheat in your experience.
I would say women cheat for the most part because they aren't receiving what they need to from their man, and they also need some form of a validation and they want love. Women are more perceptive and women want to feel. So women do things based off of how they feel. I feel, therefore it is. So if a woman's not feeling valued, she's not feeling loved, she's gonna go with the situation, which might not be the best, but that makes her feel in a way that she didn't feel in her current situation. And sometimes a woman can also cheat off of being vindictive and wanting to get back. And sometimes men do the same thing. So every reason varies, and it also depends on their bring up and their past. So if somebody's been through sexual trauma in the past, if they've been through a relationship that has caused them pain and anguish, the way that they can get back to at their partners by cheating and doing things as well.
So after being in this toxic relationship, what is your one piece of advice so that people can heal?
Take some alone time and spend time with yourself. And if you don't spend time dating yourself, you don't know what you like, what you don't like, what makes you angry, what makes you upset, what makes you happy, then you'll make whoever you are with unhappy. Because if you can't bring happiness and joy within your own spirit, then you shouldn't bring somebody else into that. You should have a good grasp on who you are personally before you even try to entertain anybody else. And I think that's the reason why a lot of relationships fall, because they're unequally yoked and there's somebody that's pouring into the other person more than that actual person, and it's unequally balanced. So with the unequal balance, there causes disarray and it causes some person to fall down, or causes other issues that people don't realize. So take time for yourself, spend some time with yourself, date yourself, and actually do the things. So people always say, "Oh, I'm taking a year to work on myself." Sometimes you don't need a year. Sometimes what you need to get done, it has to get done a lot faster than that, and time doesn't necessitate growth. You can be doing things for 2 years and nothing happens, or you can do things for 2 weeks and have a transformation. So actually realizing the transformation and having a real accountability partner and somebody to help pour into you and hold you accountable for the changes that you want to see internally and externally.
What are your thoughts on dating apps?
I mean, the only dating app I use is Instagram. But like, I mean, I've seen some success stories with Plenty of Fish, with Bumble, with Tinder. I've seen some success stories. I think it's good, but I just think get the real person. Don't just go based off the profile. People put on a facade, you meet them. You don't really get to know somebody till some time after. And I've had issues in relationships because I'm so bluntly honest and so assertive. And my way of carrying myself is people feel like they're not good enough. And people feel like I'm talking down on them. But all I like to do is I'm big on improvement. So when it comes to dating apps, I would say just make sure you're getting who you're getting, and it's not just the representative; it's actually them to the core.
The next thing I want to talk to you about is fitness. Everybody always creates these resolutions. People want to lose weight, people want to get in shape, people want to be healthy. What is your number one tip for a person to lose weight in a healthy way?
All right, so I'll give you two. So the first one is you have to work on the mindset first because you can adhere to a plan, but if the mindset's not there, once something shifts in the plan, you aren't going to stick with it. The second thing that's actually practical advice would be to get blood work done. So you can do a plan, you can work out 5, 6 days a week, but if you have underlying metabolic disorders or metabolic issues, you are going to lose weight because there could be other things inhibiting your weight loss. So it's very insufficient for someone to just get a weight loss plan from a trainer or a coach. It just says, hey, here, work out 6 to 7 days a week. If you don't know if this client's been chronically overtrained, they're stressed from work, they're not hydrated, they're not drinking enough water, they don't know what to eat. Even if they're eating under their calories, they might need to have a refeed and they might need to eat up to a normal standard for a while before reducing it. So I'd say get some blood work done, see if there's any underlying issues, and then get with a professional that can actually help you rectify those issues.
That is a great tip. I never even thought of that. But I just see so many people who, have this aspiration, they have this target weight or this target size, and they're doing so much work, but then they don't always get their results. So on Instagram, Kendall has about 36,000 followers. And I imagine some of that came from your acting or your reality TV work. But just what tips would you have for a person to grow an Instagram account organically?
I would say put quality posts, whatever that means for you.
What does
I
it
would
mean for
also
you? Your page is popping. What does that mean for you?
I mean, for me, I try to put photos that I really like. Like it could be fashion, it could be reels, it could be some creative, it could just be my daily life on the story. It could be things geared towards business. Just things that keep people entertained. At the end of the day, your social media outlet is like your own mini show. So people are going there to see what you're doing, what you're about, and it's almost like your resume outside of your resume. Treat it as such. Like it's a big deal. Don't just take a picture in the dark and just post a picture like, yep, that's it. This is me. Like, nah. Make sure you got some good lighting. You try to, and give the audience something to actually look at or bring some value to them. People either want to be entertained or they want to be educated. So I say do a combination of both and figure out your niche.
Are you taking cell phone pictures or are you using a real camera?
So with my content, I do a combination of both. So I have a DSLR, which I use for some photos and videos, and I have the newest iPhone. Yeah, the DSLR, the content just looks a little more crisp. Just, I would post at least every 48 hours and stay active on your story every single day. And I've also been jumping on TikTok a little bit, and I've been growing over there a little bit, but it's been a process. I know right now Instagram is rewarding great content. So put out good content because the algorithm is trash right now. So you have to stay consistent.
I mean this in the most respectful way, but you are an attractive man, right? Do you get thirsty women in your inbox? People sending you unsolicited pictures, people trying to flirt with you, take you out on dates, people just sending you gifts. Do you get any of that?
Yeah, I mean, it used to be crazy until I've gotten a relationship. It was happening often, but now people have been respectful. It's been cool. It's a whole totally different atmosphere, and it's not as bad as it was.
On a related note, I
Mm.
was a guest on some other podcasts and shows, and we talked about pretty privilege. Do you think pretty privilege is real? Do you get that as a man?
I definitely think pretty privilege is real. I think that people want to be around attractive people and people who are pleasant to look at or people that they just want to work with. And I think that's true for myself. I think that's true for women. I think that's true for people in general. That they can work a little, they don't have to work as hard as people who aren't as attractive, I'd say.
You are a very ambitious man. You seem to be very successful. You are, the serial entrepreneur. You dabbled and dabbled in so many things. What tips do you have for other people to be successful in whatever it is that they're doing?
I would say study to show yourself approved. I would say I reached success, I reached financial numbers that I wanted, but it's always still hasn't been enough. So my model for the year has been set the standard. So even when it comes to alcohol, certain things like I'm in great shape now, but I don't think I'm in the best shape. So I'm in the process of getting in even better shape. So I'd say with yourself is set the standard for what you want to do, whether that's in your relationship, whether that's financially, or whether that's in your business. Normal people aren't going to be able to see and understand where you are at because their thought process won't be there. So if you establish what you need and what you want, I say go for it and chase it.
What are some tips you have for networking in the creative space?
In the creative space, networking is pretty difficult because everybody's trying to get something from something. So I'd say one thing that you can do is focus on what can I give rather than what can I get. So if you're thinking, what can I give? How can I bring value to this person? Then it will change things for you. Like even when I first came to LA, the first job or different first thing that I did, I was working with a celebrity stylist. So I was learning how they move. I was learning how they got around certain stars. I was learning how they dressed them. I was learning a lot of different things, but I was also bringing value because I was doing all of the little things. I was making his life a lot easier. So I would say think about what value can you bring in whatever context that is. So when you get in places and you're networking, don't just think, what can I get? Just think, how can you help all these people here?
Nice. I appreciate that because I didn't know Kendall before this interview. We actually had a mutual connection. Shout out to Travis from the Blasphemous Debate. So Kendall was a guest panelist on the Blasphemous Debate, and I watched the episode, commented, thought it was funny. And Travis basically offered to connect me with Kendall, and I'm like, oh, that's dope. He's in LA. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's doing so much great stuff. I would love to have him as a guest on the Currency Club. So for me, networking is really important. I just wanted to thank you, obviously, for being a guest on the show because you definitely provided value.
I appreciate that. I appreciate you. I love what you're doing, and I love especially things in the ground level and growing up. Like this is gonna be huge. I know it is. You're gonna get a lot of audiences. You're a great interviewer, and you're killing it.
Thank you. So, what's next for Kendall Kirkland?
Is really trying to hop on this TV screen in a different form and a different light. So I definitely want to come off in different ways, and I'm actually building a few other businesses right now. One in particular is a marketing agency that's geared to help influencers and geared to help businesses get to the next level. But it's going to be in a very different form or fashion. I can't explain exactly what it is until it's out, but it should be done in another week or so. But it's going to be definitely great and huge. So I'm a proponent to chase the things that's on the creative side, but also need stability and structure on a business form or fashion too, because I want to be able to like really help people. And one way I can do that is by having resources and things financially.
Nice. So, we definitely have to invite you back to talk about your other business adventures as they develop and as you're ready to publicize them in 2022 and beyond. So, yeah, I definitely just want to
Mhm.
thank you for your time and your energy and your passion. We want to encourage you to hit that subscribe button to join the club.